Okay, so tonight we continue with the talk on Song of Awakening by Yongjia. And there are several beginners here. This text is not for beginners. It dismantles basic Buddhist principles and ideas and norms and all that. So we really need those to begin the practice. It's like playing tennis. You need the form. You need to learn how to do the backstroke. You need structure. And then once we get that down, we are able to develop our own style. Right? How many of you play tennis? How many of you know how to play tennis? Okay, all right. Anything? Ping pong? When I grew up, it was ping pong. Same principle. But not only develop your own style, you can dismantle the ways you've been taught in order to improve it. Every generation has their own set ways, and every culture has their own set ways to impart different information. Buddhism included. It's thousands of years of tradition in a time distant from us, foreign ideas and notions, and some of them don't really apply to us. But there's a principle to the teachings. You can't get caught up with the form, with the cultural setting or baggage. So with everything, there's a principle behind it. There's a knack behind it. Once you get the knack, you can situate yourself in all situations, without losing sight of the principle. Right? It's like that with everything. So tonight, the text goes like this. And this is part of the view. The view is like a compass. So it guides our practice. But this view is that of awakening. Thoroughly free from all boundaries, all the ways in which we tether ourselves, rely on things, depend on things, and carve out our own niche. All kinds of frames of reference is completely dismantled. Right? So it's not an ordinary correct view. This is the view of awakening. So Chan Zen is unique in that this principle, this view of awakening, is the view that guides the practice. Without losing sight of the foundations. Right? The foundations. So usually, people have to build up the foundation, norms of behavior, conduct, how we carry ourselves, and how we introspect, how we examine ourselves. Without losing sight of that, yet have this freedom as the anchor. So This section is the last section with regard to views. Now, I'm providing the kind of sub-categorization, which one is view, which verses in this poem deals with practice, which verses deals with post-awakening practice, and which verses deals with interaction with the world. So tonight we'll finish the view. Okay. Since the verses that deal with the view is not too long, let me just read from the beginning. Have you not seen those people of the way who have nothing to learn and nothing to do? They neither discard wandering thoughts nor seek the truth. The true nature of fundamental ignorance is Buddha nature. This illusory, empty body is the Dharma body. After realizing the Dharma body, there's not a single thing. Your original intrinsic nature is the authentic, innocent Buddha. The five aggregates are the illusory comings and goings of floating clouds. The three poisons, greed, hatred, ignorance, are the transient appearance and disappearing of bubbles on ocean's surface. When true reality is actualized, there are no personhood or dharmas. The karma of Avicii hell is destroyed in a kshana. It means instant. If I were to lie to deceive sentient beings, may my tongue be ripped out for kalpas, eons, uncountable as dust and sand. That's where we left off. So tonight continues. With sudden awakening to the dhyana of Tathagata Buddha, the 6 paramitas and the myriad practices are perfected in their essence. In dreams, there are clearly 6 destinies of sentient beings in samsara. Upon awakening, this great chiliocosm is completely empty. There are no transgressions of merit, no loss or gain. Do not seek for anything in the nature of quiescent extinction. The dusty mirror has never been polished. Today, it must be clearly explored and discerned. Who has no thoughts? Who experiences the unborn? If the unborn is real, there's nothing not born. Ask the mechanical wooden puppet when it will attain Buddhahood by cultivating merit. Crazy, huh? What is it talking about? All right, let's go take this apart. There's several key terms, ideas that these passages dismantle. First one is sudden awakening to the dhyana of the Tathagatas. We've already spoken about awakening, which is freedom. Right? Freedom. Not the ordinary type of freedom, but freedom from vexations, suffering and causes for oneself, and the ability to free others. This is from the Mahayana perspective. And to do that, one has to be free from self-referencing. and perpetual tendency to reify things, right? To make everything into a thing, right? Which, if when we do that, we, through the attachment, we create oppositions. When there's others, then there's self. When there's self, we're constantly othering people, right? Compartmentalizing them, subjecting them into this or that. Right? So awakening is to be free from that. Dhyana of the Tathagatas. This is an idea that came from the Lankadevara Sutra, first introduced in the Lankadevara Sutra, one of the key Chan texts. One of the sutras that has kind of shaped the emergence of the Chan tradition, the Zen tradition, 5th, 6th century. Dhyana, Pali, is pronounced jhana, simply put, meditations. Right? So in early Buddhism, meditation is conceived of as the cultivation of mind. Meditation broadly construed. Right? In any of the Buddhist languages, there's actually no correlating term for meditation. Isn't that amazing? We've constructed this whole idea about Buddhism, about meditation. Actually, there's no term that's called meditation in Buddhism. Right? They have other terms. In specific instances, contexts, they use different terms. But generally, the closest idea is bhavana, which means cultivation. So it's nothing to do with the posture, like sitting here or a particular fixed way. Self-cultivation should be done at all times. Right? So meditation broadly construed. Now, in this context, dhyana refers to meditative absorption, different states of mental cultivation. So in early Buddhism, they speak of different stages of meditative practice. Right? What they really mean is different range of experiences of concentration, of which there are, broadly speaking, 8 different levels. From concentration that's still tainted by self-referential attachment. Right? As I said, when there's self, there's othering. When there's othering, there's suffering. There's opposition. There's all kinds of problems. Right? So that's why I use the word tainted. From that, ranging to all the different higher states of concentration, in which sensory experiences dissolve, leading to different levels of perceptual, experiential states. Through the emergence of new forms of Buddhism, in time, different teachings evolve. The word dhyana in Sanskrit, or jhana, start to take on different meaning. So, in Mahayana Buddhism, the first occurrence in which the dhyana of the Tathagatas, Tathagata is an epithet for the Buddha, were introduced. There are 4 types of, and this is completely different than the 8, right? 8 different types of dhyana in early Buddhism. So in Mahayana Buddhism, there's one text, Lankavatara Sutra, speaks of 4 types of dhyana. Right? The dhyana of the ordinary practitioners, the dhyana of reality-based investigation, the dhyana of true suchness, and the dhyana of the Tathagatas. So here, and by the way, Lankavatara Sutra has been translated into English several times. That's probably in chapter 2. There are different versions of Lankavatara Sutra. This is in the 4 fascicle version that mentions this, dhyana of the Tathagatas, and it's in chapter 2 of that one. So let me just briefly talk about these different 4 dhyanas. Why do I need to talk about that? Because they are kind of like signposts for our practice. Now, I'm going to start using the word meditation, broadly construed in this context, replacing the word dhyana. Okay, so meditation of ordinary practitioners refers to the meditation that dismantles self-referentiality. The aim of which is awakening to no self, selflessness. Now, no self does not mean we lose our character, personality. It's simply the recognition that what constitutes who we are is related to everything else. There is no fixed, rigid, unchanging, separate thing called me, I, my, self. Right? Which is different how we usually operate. Right? We usually have a very definitive understanding, very solid understanding of this is my opinion, that's my experience, and it's different from yours. So this assumption that there's a fixed opinion based on some set of experiences, it's actually an illusion. Right? Because experiences are fluid. And the ways in which we draw conclusion from our experiences are really haphazard. Right? 2 people who have the same experience, they can draw complete different conclusions from it. Yeah. And the way that we draw conclusions is very much tied to the circumstances that we find ourselves in, which is it's kind of like haphazard. We happen to be at this place at this time, and our physiological conditions are maybe we're tired, or excited, or agitated, discursive thinking a lot, or clear. All of these conditions actually shape the way we draw, reify experiences, and identify this me, I, my. So it's completely random. Right? Yet through the accumulations of our experiences, from moments to hours to days to weeks, we have shaped our lives into a particular way, building upon these conditions. We formed self-image. It's not a purely cerebral thing either. Our sense of self is intimately tied to the different spaces that we find ourselves. You know? Recently, my student went back to her parents' house. And the dynamics of the parents relating to one another, how they relate to each other. Father and mother, after so many decades of marriage, have kind of settled on a particular pattern. In that household, it's almost like frozen in time. Right? But she has left that space for a long time. She's went back immediately. The parents see her as the little girl. You know what I'm talking about, right? The way we relate to parents in a particular household and space. And we inevitably fall into that role. We fall into that role. Right? The circumstances treat you a particular way, and we fall into that role even when we don't want to. Our habitual patterns of reactions, the way they talk to us, the way they maybe belittle us, criticize us, nagging on us. Right? Have left an imprint in our embodied experiences so that automatically we assume that role. We assume back then how we behave, you know. So this self-referencing is not a cerebral thing. It's completely embodied. Right? So the meditation of ordinary teaching, within Buddhism that is, for ordinary folks. Number one, at the first level, dismantling the ways in which we are locked into self-referencing in all circumstances. Does that make sense? Yeah. Well, first, you have to see it. Right? Expose. We have to really accept that there's a history to why we are the way we are. Right? Then we can work with it. If we resist it, then we're just kind of locked into this tension, you know, having, lacking, wanting, rejecting, you know, resisting, seeking. You know, we really have to embrace this. So exposing, embracing, and work with it. Work with it. So I told her. She was in tears when she called me. You know, she can't stand it. You know, she finds herself into such circumstances again. She's trying to book a flight back early. Can't book a flight back July 4th, July 3rd, anytime around that, you know. So I told her, you're not you anymore. You're a practitioner. The circumstances may be frozen in time, but you're different. So expose the patterns that you discover within you. Understand this history. And avail yourself. Enter that space like you enter a Chan Hall. Now, who's giving the Dharma talk? her parents, the wrathful form, you know, criticizing, shouting, and understand that parents, they were reared a certain way. They express their love a certain way, They drive us crazy in a certain way, right? But understand that, exposing all that, and fully avail ourselves. So, in meditation, then relate to them in a new way. They may be frozen in time, but we respond in a new way in meditation. She texted me after a day. Thank you so much. It's been so helpful. I apologized to my father, and he actually apologized to me. So when we change, the circumstances around us change. So in working with dismantling the self-referencing, which is no one walks around like, I want to be self-referential, I want to be self-attached. No one. It's embodied in the way we think, the way we relate, the way we feel, and the circumstances we find ourselves in. Right? It's alive, dynamic. When we were parents, we're a certain way. When we are parents, we're a certain way. Right? When we were friends, we're a certain way. So there's not like one kind of self that Buddhism is talking about. Right? The self, manifold, quite alive, quite dynamic, and quite tricky. Right? So, first type of meditation. It's the meditation of, or self-cultivation of selflessness. Right? But this is the rudimentary level. Right? The second level, second type of meditation. Now, I should say, in this first type of meditation, the way the teaching, the Buddha Dharma has framed, it's all about framing. Right? It's all about context. Everything is about context. The way he has framed this is strive for awakening, nirvana, dismantle, relinquish the patterns of samsara, suffering and its causes. Right? And here lies the problem. Right? Now, this is saying, don't do bad, do good. Work on it. Right? So clearly, the framing, there's good and bad. There's seeking and relinquishing. Having this, but as sons and daughters of the Buddha, in the beginning of the practice, we need this. We need this. Just like playing tennis or ping pong. We need the forms. We need to learn how to hold the racket in a particular way. In a way that we won't get hurt. Right? Tennis racket, ping pong racket. Right? The way we stroke, that we won't get hurt. That's most efficient, most effective. So we need the form. But this is not where we stop. So the second type of meditation is meditation of genuine investigation. And this meditation is the meditation that dismantles reified notions of self and others. Nirvana versus samsara, good versus bad. So we have to learn good from bad. Right? We have to learn cause and effect, foundation. Right? Then we have to question. What is good? What is bad? The relativity of these terms on different circumstances. Similarly, samsara versus nirvana. Right? So this is the second type of meditation. Now, through this meditation, the aim is to dismantle like the text says, actually in the first line. Have you not seen those people of the way who has nothing to learn, nothing to do, neither discard wandering thoughts, nor seek the truth? Right? So the second type of meditation dismantles this notion of wandering thoughts, which is, how many of you like wandering thoughts when you try to concentrate? How many of you like distractions? Right? So examine that, because the subtle undercurrent tones within us that still has these traces of like and dislike. I want that, I don't want this. That's precisely the cause of our suffering. What is suffering? We want this moment to be other than what it is, which means we already have an idea. We want that, we don't want this. Right? So these subtle graspings, reification, it's actually from moment to moment shaping our experiences. You see how devastating, how grave greed and aversion is shaping our lives. Now, greed and aversion are just two signposts. There's a whole different shades of grays, right? From coarse to very subtle. But basically, this impulse of attraction, of rejection, suppression is at work. That is the workings of the poison of the mind. Now, it's important in the beginning to distinguish what are vexations, what are the causes of suffering, what's good, what's not so good, what's harmful. It's the first level of meditation. Second, these subtle graspings must itself be dismantled. Right? Why? Because as long as these graspings are present, there's always going to be this traces of this polarizing experience of othering and selfing, however subtle. And that binds us, prevents us from being free. So at this very subtle level, it's called selflessness of dharmas. Dharmas with a lower d means phenomenal reality. Could be concrete, material, could be immaterial, like notions. Like notions of what? Notions of samsara, notions of vexations, notions of good versus bad. You see? It's not to say all forms of good and bad are dismantled. Here, it only talks about meditation of our heart and mind. So it doesn't say, we don't need green lights, red lights anymore. Cars can just drive without lights, We don't need government, we don't need any rule, civil law, we don't need policy change. It doesn't mean that. It means within our heart, are we bound by them? So all forms have their function and usefulness, yet they do not define us, bind us. Remember, we're talking about freedom here. So the third type is the meditation on suchness, which dismantles the categorization of selflessness of individual and selflessness of dharmas, phenomenal reality. The former two. Right? Things as they are just such. Just such. Or thus. Right? Intrinsically free. So, this form of meditation works on our relationship with self and others, and dismantles traces of this reification. Right? So it's the Mahayana Buddhism, our early form of Buddhism, focuses on no self of the individual. Our later form of Buddhism talks about no self, not only of the individual, but about these reified notions of samsara that we must abandon, nirvana to which we must aspire. Right? These polarizing notions. So, no self of the dharmas. This one, suchness, dismantles these categories because the categories themselves are limiting. Right? But they serve a purpose, a function, a lens through which we can refine the way we work on ourselves. Does that make sense? It's like a signpost, guidelines. So this third one, meditation on suchness, the suchness of all things, free from any compartmentalization, categorization, self and others, can be said to be the basis, the kind of ontological basis of awakening, if you will, like the essence. And the fourth one, the meditation of Tathagatas, is the miraculous function of this awakening. This function that stems out of this basis of suchness, able to meet all sentient beings wherever they are, responding to the needs without solidifying, reifying, fixations. All skillful means. Right? So, these, much could be said more, but I don't think it's necessary. Right? So these are the four. Now, this text talks about with sudden awakening to the meditation of the Tathagatas, which is the great function, right, of compassion that stems from is wisdom of suchness. The 6 perfections or paramitas, and the myriad practices, all the Dharma practices, are perfected in their essence. Why would they be perfected? They're not perfected in their function. They're perfected in their essence. Why? Because of the view. Boundless, unrestricted wisdom and compassion. Not tethered, or no longer tethered to, tied down by categorizations of self, dharmas, nirvana, samsara, good, bad, having, lacking. Right? Breaking through the bounds. That awakening. The expression of that is already free. Already free. So in helping other people, in speaking, working, there's just freedom. Now, it's not to say that you never studied geometry, physics. Suddenly, you know physics, or you can perfect this and that. The essence is free. So within you, there's great freedom. Great freedom. You're able to respond to all beings where they're at, and they are empowered. Now, all children want to be empowered, don't they? You tell them not to suck on the lollipop, they don't want to listen to you. They want to suck on the lollipop. I want to be empowered. I want to eat this whole bag of Snickers or Twix or candy bar. Not that kind of empowerment. Right? So the children need to learn good and bad. If you don't brush your teeth and you eat all those candy, you're going to get cavity. Right? The children need to do that. But once the children can understand good from bad, then they need to learn critical thinking. Good from what perspective? Who says it's good? Who deem this bad? What is the society tells us what is good and bad? How constructed, fabricated are these categories? So we need to challenge, right? That's the second level. Third level, to see through the veils of these constructs and to recognize within all beings their freedom, their perfection, their beauty, right? And respond out of that. Now, even though the teacher may be telling the child, or the father and mother telling the child, don't eat so much candy. A good teacher or a good parent is not tethered to good and bad. Inside is free. What they recognize is love. But most people are conditioned circumstantially. They're conditioned by their wandering thought, categories that they hold on to, notions and ruminations and ideas. So they're vexed. So parents are this way, the society is this way. So awakening is to be free from that. Now, it's not to infantilize people with the Dharma. There's no need for that. But each person, where they're at, needs a particular type of teaching. Does that make sense? If you say this kind of teaching, it dismantles everything to beginners, they love it. No, I'm free, I don't need to do anything. Meditation, I don't need to sit. Didn't you say that meditation is, cultivation is no form? So those of you who are beginners, sit. You gotta meditate. You gotta uphold precepts. You have to be kind. You have to cultivate the perfections. What are the perfections? The paramitas. Generosity, giving. Right? There's all kinds of giving. Material, immaterial, the Dharma, the most, from the Mahayana perspective, from the sutras and the treatises, the highest level of giving is fearlessness. Which points to something within sentient beings. What does it point to? We're fearful. That fear mostly drives us, right? Our impulses. So, giving of fearlessness, that kind of giving. So when sentient beings are in your presence, when you interact with them, what exudes out of you is they feel safe around you. Now, how do people feel safe? You don't want anything from them. Now, people are very smart. Everyone is very smart. All the people that we meet, everyone wants something. Is that true? Everyone wants something. Either they want to give us something or they want to take something from us. So, having, lacking. So, the kind of presence of the awakened one is free from this craving, desire, and aversion. So the presence is that of safety, content. It's all good. So that kind of giving is very good. Now, I'm running out of time. So I'll speed through the rest because I want to finish this. I want to get to the practice part. So we have giving, we have morality. We need it. We need to know cause and effect, the repercussions of our actions, how it impacts others and the society around us, our family. So we need to know what's good, what's bad. Right? Morality. This means precepts. Precepts must have a principle. But we're not bound by them. We understand the function. Every precept, every one of them, has 4 facets to them. What constitutes upholding the precepts? Knowing the essence. What constitutes transgression? What constitutes exception? What are the ways to amend a precept if you break them? Right? So the flexibility with which each and every precept must be practiced, this is the building of foundations. Right? So giving, precepts, patience. If you don't have patience, you can't practice the former two. So patience. If you only have patience, that's not enough either. You must have diligence. So supposedly, according to the Mahayana Sutras, Shakyamuni Buddha in previous life, Maitreya in previous life, they began practicing at the same time. But Maitreya, why is he the next Buddha to come? Supposedly, according to the Avatamsaka Sutra, 56 million years after Shakyamuni Buddha passed away, that's when Maitreya will come. So that's pretty late. What the heck was he doing that was delaying all this time? You could say too much patience, although the sutra says you're a little bit lazy, taking his time at things. Right? So the perfection of a bodhisattva practitioner needs ferocious determination, diligence. Right? So giving, morality, patience, diligence, meditation, and wisdom. Right? Meditation I spoke about. Right? Different types of meditation. All of these different types of meditation, fourfold, introduced in the Lankavatara Sutra, is founded on wisdom. Right? But the higher levels are more refined. And all these practices, these 6 rubrics, which include all types of practices in Buddha Dharma, in Buddhist practice, are perfected in their essence. How can they be perfected? Because we're already free. Right? We're already free from the categorization, compartmentalization, reification of this versus that. Right? Each and every one of you are the expression of suchness. That is great empowerment. That's great empowerment. Right? You can substitute suchness with perfect. Right? Is it perfect even with all the flaws? Yes. These flaws have a history to them. They're not your true nature. True nature? Perfect. How many of you feel perfect? Raise your hand. Now, after having heard this, you have to have confidence. So the view is, I'm perfect, but I have flaws. Now let me ask again. How many of you are perfect? Come on, raise your hand. Say, perfect. Yeah, I have things to work on. See, that's the view. Already perfect. Yet I have things to work on. So that when we work on them ourselves, we're not bogged down with all the flaws that we find. Because we're perfect. You see? Very important view in Chan. If you don't have the view of perfection, all you have is all the flaws, practice is not so joyful. Right? It's just dealing with problems. All you see are problems. And our brain is inclined to see problems. So, online too? All of you perfect? Yes. Okay. Perfect, yet we are bogged down by all the different minutiae, our habit tendencies, our vexations. But we must note that the vexations themselves, 烦恼 themselves, there's freedom in that. There's freedom in that. Now, the most obvious example of this is that even in the midst of our vexations, wandering thoughts, there's a moment to moment freshness to that. Yeah? Moment to moment freshness to that. Instant. Now we get lost with the contents and we lose that freshness. The freshness of the emergence of deluded thinking, attachment. There's freedom. Right? When we solidify, attached to the contents, then we're bogged down by it. And that's how we end up in dreams. So the text goes, in dreams, there are clearly 6 destinies of sentient beings. 6 realms of existence. This is basic Buddhism 101. They're metaphorical in nature, signpost in nature. Right? They point to different ways of living our lives. And the 6 are 3 lower, 3 higher. Again, rudimentary Buddhism, hierarchical, structure. Right? And this is the way that that shapes our lives. We are the producers and the product of these 6 ways of living our lives. What are the 6? Animals. Hungry, insatiable, desirous ghosts. Ghosts, spirits. And continual suffering, like the denizens of hell. These are the 3 lower ones. The 3 higher ones is all the potential of what it is like to be a human being. What is it like to tap into our humanity of connectedness? Right? That's one way to live. Another way, like the gods. Now, early Buddhism, sometimes they refer to 5 realms of existence. There are other texts that talk about 6 realms, because the gods can be divided into two general types. Gods that still have some issues, like jealousy. Right? They're generally good. They've done a lot of good, but they're like demigods. You know. How many of you have met people like this? Very compassionate, very caring, as long as you see them as long as you revere them, listen to them. Like teachers, people of authority. But when you challenge them, the wrath comes out. How many of you have met people like that? Yeah. Very kind, but there's different sides to them. Demigods. And these people have great merit, good fortune. They're blessed with many things. That's one type. Another type is the meditative gods, meditation gods, of which there are different subtleties and different attainments. Right? So 6 realms of existence. Here it says, in dreams, there are clearly 6 destinies of sentient beings in this world of samsara. And we see them all around us. Upon awakening, this great universe, chiliocosm, right? We can understand that as the domain of like all the domains of the world, or the cosmos. Right? Typically, it's chiliocosm. But that's technical. We can simply understand this as the great worlds are completely empty. Completely empty. Right? This is basically dismantling fundamental Buddhism. Right? Because what propels us, shapes us to live a certain way in the samsara is karma, our actions. So what this text is saying, upon awakening, karma dissolves. All these realms, discrete ways, completely freed up. And all sentient beings, all living beings, in their multitude expressions, ways of living, already freed. Right? Inconceivable. That's an inconceivable realm. It's not some mystical realm. It's just not conceivable. Because the ways that we conceive, reflect, perceive things are always through the brackets, the prisms, the notions of experiences. We always see things filtered. So this is an unfiltered experience in which all beings are already liberated, free. It's also inconceivable because what we see in the world, we're so tied down, conditioned. There's no other way to see the world through the way that we see it. With our distinct opinions, our views that we attach to. This is a Republican, that is a Democrat. This is a liberal, that is a conservative. This is good, this is bad. That's black, this is white. This is people of color, and that's white. All the different things that we see, compartmentalize. No way to conceive of this. So until we dismantle all these conditionings, then we can genuinely liberate ourselves and all beings. And this is the message. In dreams, there are all these different 6 destinies. Upon awakenings, no more dream. Now, it's not to say dream like we're sleeping dream. For most people, they're in a dream now. The way we construct things, the way we relate to other people. Right? We construct our reality. And we bring other people into this reality. Right? You see your parents a certain way. And just like my student who went back to her parents' house, right? She automatically assumed her old self. And the parents saw her locked into that. I said, you're free. You're already free. Right? You don't live in their dream. You don't live in your dream either. Most of us are busy enough living our own dream. And then we have to live in other people's dream. Do you know what I'm saying? Like living the parents see me. The parents see you and say, that's their dream. You don't have to kind of assume that role. Just because they see you as, all the negative things that they see you at, nagging you. Doesn't mean you have to actually be that. Does that make sense? Like other people see you, you're a jerk. You know what? You call me a jerk. That means you already assume yourself as a jerk. Right? Does that make sense? So that means we're not only living our dream, we're living other people's dream. No dreams. So students, sometimes they see me in their dream. You see Guagu as Guagu. They have a bunch of students that see me Guagu. I'm so grateful to you for teaching. Thank you. After a few years, you know what? You have a lot of problems. I need to. I think you have a lot of vexations. Oh, I do? Okay. Now, students come and go. They bring their own baggage. I teach Buddha Dharma, meeting them where they're at. And that changes. Hopefully, they will let go of the baggage, the lens that they see me through. Right? But sometimes people don't. People don't. And my practice is not at the level of what the Yongjia says, right? All beings already freed. So I'm affected. When I see them, it pains me that, they come and they go. And when people go, they always have to make a reason. And the reason is usually my problem, right? Or their problem, or whatever reason, So it's sad to see them go, But I understand that maybe it's better that they leave, And I hope that they wake up from the slumber of their dreams. So I try not to live in my dream. I try not to live in other people's dream. When people prop me up as such and such great teacher, I typically do something stupid. It's like, oh, he's human. I don't sit on the pedestal. As soon as people put me on the pedestal, I dismantle it. As soon as people put me on this, I kill that. People put me on this, I bring it down. Hopefully they get the message. But even when they don't, there's already a karmic affinity established. So practice together. So sooner or later, they'll be back. They will encounter the Dharma. Maybe not in this form, but in another form. The next line, I want to finish this. Because of the dismantling of reified notions and realms and categories, words and language, images, such notions as loss or gaining, losing, of merit, blessings. No such thing either. No merit? I know at least one student love it when I say this, probably. She's present. It's like, right? But a lot of people get caught up with that. Merit, demerit, transgression, upholding. Right? Do not try to seek anything in this nature of quiescent extinction. Now, Buddhism typically phrases things in a negative way, right? Apathetically. Right? Basically, it just refers to nirvana. Don't try to reify, solidify things in your free nature of nirvana. Right? In each of you, already possess nirvana. Right? Even though it's not possessible. You are the expressions of that. Don't try to build things up, right? Reify things. And the dusty mirror has never been polished. Today must be clarified, explored, discerned. What is the dusty mirror? The self. The self. And practice can be said to be exploration of the self. Right? Through this exploration, and discernment. The mirror and the dust, both vanishes. Right? The last 4 lines. Who has no thoughts? Who experiences the unborn, the awakening, right? Unborn of vexations. Right? If the unborn is real, if you think awakening is real, attainable, graspable, then nothing is not born. That means you don't think awakening is some real thing. That's the last message. Right? Awakening, illusion. Right? Nirvana, samsara. Awakening itself is only relative to delusion. Right? These are terms that only make sense when self-referencing is present. If you think they're real, then you can go ask the wooden puppet, Pinocchio, when it will attain Buddhahood by cultivating merit. Right? Or it's like, asking this, it's like asking this clock. 9:18, 18 minutes past due. When will you attain Buddhahood? That's how silly the question is. Right? The notion of Buddhahood, the notion of awakening. As long as we entertain such notion, we are already deluded. Right? Does that make sense? When we want to seek for something, we're already not it. We're already pushing that away from us. It's a form of self-denial. It's a perpetuation of our sense of lack. Our sense of lack. I want awakening. That means we're deluded. Right? That's not self-empowering. That's delusion. And then on the other hand, we have people that every once in a while I have people that come to us trying to convince me that they're awakened, they're enlightened. And they really want me to affirm their experience, to sanction their experience, to recognize their experience. And they are disappointed. Right? Obviously, they hold on to this notion of awakening. I've had this experience, right? You and me, we speak the same language. Let me tell you about my experience. So, both ends of the pole are problematic. So, the main point of this section, the takeaway, is to establish solid foundation without losing sight that we're already free. Already free. When you find yourself not free, struggling, challenged, caught, then you relax, grip, because inevitably we're holding on to something in that moment. So loosen the grip. Because most of the reason why we hold on to things is not a cerebral thing. It's a body, so we must tackle it with the body. Relax the body. Relax, ground, open. The more we're familiar with this, the more we align ourselves with this principle. Now we've concluded the whole section on the view. In sum, we can say it's 3 letters. All those words, 3 letters. IAG. It's all good. It's all good. This good is not the opposite of bad. That kind of good. This good is suchness. It's all good. When bad things come, it's all good. There's always all the circumstances we find yourself become resources of Buddha Dharma. All beings, each in their own way, already expound the Dharma. Just like the nagging parents, they expound endlessly, seems, Buddha Dharma. Right? So whatever comes your way, you turn it into Buddha Dharma. That's one thing I learned. I've learned a lot of things from my teacher. But as his attendant, for a decade, traveling with him, everything he come across, everything that crossed paths with him, it's all Buddha Dharma. All becomes teachings. All becomes instances of freedom. Right? And his responses out of that freedom, helpful for all beings. So criticism, he garnered a lot of criticism. He was a trailblazer, so he challenged the norm, the Buddhist norm, and conventional norm, societal norm, and he garnered a lot of criticism. One time in Taiwan, this great, very famous, very vociferous nun, vociferous, critical, very influential nun, wrote an essay criticizing my teacher. We're having breakfast, accusing him of doing something. He didn't do it. And all of us, all rallied up. Shifu, we have to clear your name. We have to defend this. We have to do this. It's with regards to some Guan Yin statue in the park in Taipei City. Something that's kind of, should we take it down? Not take it down? So none is known for that. She's calmed down a bit in her older age, but when she was young, she was a fireball, right? So my teachers, after we ate breakfast, I said, so what do you guys think? All the people like, Shifu, I think we should write a counter essay, to in response. This, after all, people do that. In the newspaper, they have counter essays. It's endless. My teacher just smiles, and someone else says some other idea. Everyone had this great idea, and my teacher says, silent illumination. Now is the part to be silent and illuminating. Clear. We're not oblivious of the criticism. There's no need to respond. He gave an analogy. It's like writing calligraphy. How many of you practice calligraphy? Chinese calligraphy? None of you? Okay, we're gonna have a calligraphy class. All right. In calligraphy, the darkness, the thickness, and the lightness, the wetness and the dryness of the brush, it's through those means that you express the character, the energy or the presence. Right? So the worst thing you can do, you put the calligraphy, you write the calligraphy, the worst thing you can do is after you make a mistake, you go back to it and kind of make it look a little better. That makes it worse because the constituency of the ink is different. You can never get back to the same constituency, translucency or darkness. As soon as you go back to it, you've ruined it. Do you know what I'm talking about? Right? So people can tell that's a big no-no in calligraphy. You just work with it. You work with it. You know, instead of going back trying to fix it. Not to say that my teacher made a mistake. He didn't, but he was wrongly accused. And silent illumination. Not oblivious, extremely clear what's going on, not only of ourselves, the circumstances, but knowing where they come from, the critics, where they come from. Don't respond. Things will work out in its own accord sometimes. It's not to say this is the only way we respond to things, always responding this way. No. Sometimes we need to respond. But in that circumstance, when someone is very aggressive and accusatory, vociferous like that, you don't respond in the heat of the, this kind of thing. Does that make sense? So in those circumstances, we don't do it. And then, after a year, she wrote another essay apologizing for wrongly accused my teacher. She came personally to our temple, paid respect to my teacher. My teacher said, it's all good. It's all good. So, how did I get on this topic? Whatever we do, right? Build a solid foundation, it's all good. Not lose sight of that. It's all good. Even criticism, even challenges, adapt to circumstances. Meet people where they're at. Flexible. Unrigid. That's the miraculous function of freedom. Okay?